Somebody who's not missing the playoffs and who has had just the phenomenal of seasons has been the Steelers. Pittsburgh Steelers.
Before Monday night occurred.
And you have that. Yes, that downfall, which they were defeated by the Washington team and their wonderful quarterback, Smith.
The comeback player of the year, unanimous.
Yes. There's another tip of the hat, come on, to hand the Pittsburgh Steelers a loss. Washington team has not been at the best of the teams this year. They've had their struggles. Having Smith come back, which has been amazing to see him back out on that field, thinking that his career was over after that injury and everything that he went through. But yeah, that's just phenomenal. But the Steelers will, they're in there.
Oh yeah, 11-1. But it's got to be disappointing that's the way that their undefeated run this season would end, with such a disappointing loss to the Washington football team at home on Monday Night Football. And I'm sure that Mike Tomlin is extremely upset by the way they played. They didn't even play their best football against Baltimore just a few days ago. And that's tough that they had to reschedule that Ravens game 3 different times. And I'm sure that threw off their rhythm, Joe, that they had 3 different types of preparation for the Baltimore Ravens. They beat the Ravens, and then just days later, they had to get prepared for the Washington football team. They had to push that game back because that was supposed to be a Sunday game. They pushed that back to a Monday night game to accommodate them because they couldn't have them play Baltimore on a Tuesday and then expect them to play Washington on a Sunday.
Right.
You just couldn't do that.
And I'm sure that's what made was the major factor in with all of that happening. They probably were not at their best. To be honest, I thought that they were probably going to more than likely would have gone undefeated if it would have been for that all the way through the playoffs.
Yeah,
I was almost sure of it that was going to happen.
Yes, but having to play Baltimore, let me correct myself, play Baltimore on a Wednesday, there's no way they could turn around on a Sunday,
no way.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 4 days later and play Washington. No, it's a tough situation. And I'm sure the Steelers are frustrated by what happened with Baltimore and this whole COVID outbreak with them, 24 players and personnel coming down with the COVID virus and that throwing the Ravens off. And then in turn, that throwing the Steelers off. And then that got them into the situation on Monday night against the Washington football team, and they came out lackluster and sluggish. They dropped seven passes. They only ran for 21 yards. That's not indicative of a Pittsburgh Steelers team to only run for 21 yards and drop 7 passes. Just looking at the stats, they're major factors. Chase Claypool had 2 catches for 38 yards. Give credit to the Washington defense. Juju Smith-Schuster, just 7 catches for 28 yards, Joe. So, again, give Washington's defense credit for shutting down their major weapons. Deontay Johnson had 8 catches for 71 yards. So all the weapons that Ben Roethlisberger had, it took him 53 passes, Joe, just to get 305 yards. So he had to labor to get 300 yards. He threw almost 60 passes to get 300 yards. What does that say about the Washington defense? They were on point on Monday night.
Oh, yeah. That was a tough game for Roethlisberger, and he had to, put up a fight. Because that's not Roethlisberger numbers. No,
he can usually get 300 yards in 30 to 35 passes, not 53.
Yeah. Oh, no. I have to admit, I'm a bit surprised with the season that's they've had. Cleveland Browns.
The Cleveland Browns, yeah.
Yeah, because I know we always bust them chops and always tear them apart. But they've come to prove us wrong, and they came out with the win, 41-35 against the Titans, and that was a good game. I watched.
Yes, it was
part of that game. But yeah, we're gonna see the Browns in the playoffs.
That was an impressive victory to go down to Nashville and have almost 500 yards of offense. Baker Mayfield was outstanding. He was he was stellar. 25 of 33, 334, 4 touchdowns. Nick Chubb was on his game, 18 rushes for 80 yards. So they had the complete thing going offensively. Again, 458. And they had to withstand a furious rally because the Tennessee Titans came back pretty strong in the second half. They were down 38-7 at the half, but they didn't give up. They rallied back, scored 28 points in the second half, almost came back with the victory. but the Cleveland Browns held on. It's never easy to beat a team like the Tennessee Titans. They're very good too.
They're great. They're pretty great team.
They're really good.
Yeah.
And it's hard to win anywhere, but to go to Nashville, to go on the road, it's hard to win on the road in the National Football League. But give credit to the Cleveland Browns for going to Nashville and coming out with that victory, and they're 9-3. Great win for them.
Yeah, definitely. And I just have to give it up to Mahomes. He had just what he was able to do Sunday night against the Broncos. He's just on fire. There's just no stopping him.
It's between him and Aaron Rodgers for the MVP. If for a while there, before Russell started to slip, when they had that losing streak and they started to turn the ball over a lot, Russell was in the MVP conversation. But now that Russell was kind of slipped away from there, it's a two-man race with Rodgers and Mahomes, no question.
Definitely. So just what that kid, he's a kid, 25.
Yes, he's a baby. Yes.
Still a baby, but
and you know what
been able to do is phenomenal in just a short amount of time, and coming off winning the Super Bowl and having the season that you're having, another 11-1 team, and those throws and that one, specific throw, how he was just able to perfectly just throw that and onto target and make that beautiful catch. I can't remember who made that catch. It was just like, okay, well, I see what you got.
You're not talking about the Tyreek Hill catch in the end zone, are you? Or are you talking about a different catch?
I'm probably talking about a different catch. It was in the end zone.
But the Tyreek catch where he thought he didn't have a touchdown pass,
yes,
he thought he didn't even catch that.
Too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he went to Andy Reid and said, "No, I didn't catch that ball, coach." But Andy was like, "Yes, you did catch that ball. He caught that ball. That was unbelievable."
Yeah, because I was writing some notes down, and then I was like, okay, I'm like, look up, and I'm like, he didn't make that catch, and I'm like, I'm like, hold on. He made the catch.
He did make the catch, yeah.
I was like, once I saw that replay, I was like, wait, I'm like, what? But no, this was another one. Probably I want to say maybe midfield. I remember what yard line there was. No one in the area. He throws that ball. I don't remember who it is at the moment. Just comes down perfectly and just, catches that, makes that beautiful catch. It was just great.
And we can go back to the Tampa game. The first quarter that Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill had was one of the most incredible quarters that any quarterback and wide receiver have ever had. For Tyreek Hill to have 203 yards in the first quarter, I mean, how often does that ever happen, that a wide receiver gets 200 yards in a quarter, Joe?
Never.
There's most wide receivers in their lifetime won't get 203 yards in a game, let alone a quarter.
Phenomenal.
So who would be your MVP? Put your journalist hat on. Don't think, oh, I'm just a Packers fan. I'm gonna go for Aaron Rodgers because he's my guy. I love Aaron Rodgers. I know where you would really want to go with this. You want to go with Aaron, don't you?
It's tough. It's really close.
Yeah. Like, both of those guys are playing.
Like, oh my god. To be honest, yes, I wanted to say Aaron Rodgers because I've followed him. Well, you know how long I've been a Packers fan. I'm not going to say, for how many years, but it's been a very, very long time since Brett Favre. And then, there goes Aaron Rodgers. And then keep continuing with Jordan. So regardless, can I get back to you on our next show with that answer? Because I have to put some numbers together.
Okay. Yes.
I can't just blurt it out because Patrick is he's just fire as well. And the things he's been able to do for the season, I don't know if he's probably been having a better season that he did last season too. It's just incredible.
It is. And how many quarterbacks are able to follow up a season that they had previously, the season he had taking his team to a world championship, and he turns around and does the same exact thing, if not better, the following season, and potentially could lead the Chiefs to a repeat. That very rarely ever happens. That hardly ever happens. Yes. That's
a Tom Brady type of, skill phenomenal right there. Aaron Rodgers, another example, Drew Brees right there, maybe possibly, type of, maybe not taking them back to the Super Bowl, but having those type of seasons, back to back is what I'm referring to. We go back, we can keep going back further and further, but those are just very few examples that not very many can have that feat. Yeah, that have some homework to do. I'll have, make that notation, down for yourself for next show.
Okay.
So I can give you that honest answer. As much as right now, my heart will just say Aaron Rodgers, no doubt about it. But
I knew you would.
If you want a fair answer, I need to do a little bit more homework and do the research and put the numbers down.
Okay. I just said, just don't count out my homeboy. Don't count out Mahomes.
No, I'm not counting him out. Like he
is outstanding. My gosh, what a talent!
To be reckoned with. That's no doubt. There's no doubt about it.
He's worth every penny that Kansas City Chiefs are paying him, and they're paying him a lot of pennies.
Yes,
a lot of pennies.
A lot of pennies. Yeah.
Is it good, bad, and ugly time now?
Good, bad, and the ugly. Yes. So let's start off with the good. Keep on with the good before we get to the ugly. All right. So for me, it's 2. It's a tie for the good. Maybe a 1A and a 1B.
Okay. There was a lot of good on Sunday.
There's a lot of good, which really made it hard. And when the game recap we've had here, it's really tough to just pick one. But I have to go with.
I'm looking at these games now. It's like so many to choose from.
Of course, we just talked about him. Packers, Aaron Rodgers has to be on my good. Putting that aside, I would have to would also have to put in the Cleveland Browns in there.
Okay.
Reasons that we mentioned earlier is just I don't have any words. I can't speak. Oh my gosh, I need to go back to grade school to learn how to speak again.
Oh my goodness.
But coming off of that win against the Titans, which is not they're a great team, not an easy win to come off,
mm-hmm.
or to get against that type of team. I have to definitely give that tip of the hat to the Browns and Baker Mayfield.
I am scanning these games. Of course, one game we already talked about, the Giants going to Seattle, going cross country to beat the Seattle Seahawks to drop them to 8-4. That's a good for me. The Giants are back in first place, tied with Washington at 5-7. That's one good for me. And Washington, of course, going to Pittsburgh last night and beating the Pittsburgh Steelers. They go to 5-7. So they and the Giants are again tied for first place. Them going to Pittsburgh, knocking them off. And now the Pittsburgh Steelers are no more. They're not undefeated anymore. They dropped them to 11-1. So those are two goods. Actually, a third one will be the New England Patriots. They go out to Inglewood and absolutely destroy Justin Herbert and the Los Angeles Chargers. I don't know what Anthony Lynn's job tenure is like right now, but it's got to be on thin ice, especially after them getting destroyed by 45 at home to the New England Patriots. Watch out for the Patriots, Joe. They've won 4 out of 5. You knew Bill Belichick was going to get his boys together eventually, and now those guys are feeling it right now. And they've got a Thursday night game against the Los Angeles Rams, which will be on NFL Network. I'm sure that'll be on Prime and Fox. That's another huge game in Inglewood. It's a crazy schedule that I like how the schedule makers did that, where the Patriots will play the Chargers, and then 4 days later they play the Rams in the same building. That's going to be a huge matchup for the Rams and the New England Patriots. But I'll tell you what, Cam Newton better not throw for 60 yards against the Rams. Otherwise, they're losing that game. He can't throw for 60 yards like he did against the Chargers, against the Rams, and expect to win, because that's not going to happen.
It's like what you meant saying that it's kind of like the tables have turned. The Patriots, how their season was not starting off the best. Tom Brady, the Bucks were having a good season at the beginning, and now everything's tables have turned.
Yes, it's completely flipped, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I just thought of that. I'm like, that's how did that analogy? I thought I would throw it out there.
You think Tom misses Bill in Foxborough, Massachusetts right now?
I think so.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Money talks, though.
Yes. What's your bad or bads?
My bad. Well, let me go ahead and throw one other good in there before I move on to my bad. And I have to actually give it, and we touched a little bit earlier, and I had mentioned this a while back, the Bills going against 49ers is just another one, and continue to keep your eyes on them. They're not the best team in the NFL, but they'll surprise you. And that's one of the things they've done last night, going against the San Francisco 49ers.
Yes.
Is just that.
They've got to get their running game intact, Joe. They've got to be able to run the ball more. Josh Allen is an outstanding quarterback, and he's got a bevy of talent with Cole Beasley and Stephon Diggs and Devin Singletary, but they've got to be able to get their running game going if they expect to win in the playoffs. But regardless of that, if they can get that going, their defense is really good. And again, Josh Allen is an outstanding football talent. He is the guy that could lead them very far in the playoffs. And I agree with you. be on the lookout for the Buffalo Bills because Sean McDermott has that team on fire.